little pencil neck Adam Schiff. I saw him today. Well, we don't really know. There could still have been some Russia collusion. Sick. These are sick people.
President Trump taking on House Intel Chair Adam Schiff over his pathetic alarmism, claiming collusion with no evidence. Schiff clashed today with members of his own committee at a hearing, and my next guest was among those demanding that Schiff resign.
I will not yield. Mr. Ambassador,
you gentlemen, yield because you just made some things about all of us that I think we all should get the opportunity to respond to.
I will not yield. You attacked me in your opening statement, and I've responded.
I have not had an opportunity to respond at all, especially to your statements of what we think. You cannot speak for us.
Expose you as having abused your position to knowingly promote false information.
I'm asking for your resignation today because I believe you are advancing Putin's work.
I do not think that conduct, criminal or not, is okay.
You're not accusing someone of getting a parking ticket or stealing a piece of bubblegum. You are accusing the president of treason.
Almost felt like the House of Commons. It got so raucous. Loved it, like the Brexit stuff. All right, joining me now, House Intel Committee member Chris Stewart and The Hill's John Solomon, who's been reporting on all of this. Congressman, let's start with you. Schiff isn't going to step down, right? I mean, that's this pie in the sky thinking. So what is the recourse here? How can the committee, which is critical to oversight, how could this committee be led by someone who has lied over and over again and using the weapon of treason and trumping a Russian agent?
Well, that's right. Laura, you're right. He's not going to step down. We never realistically anticipated that he would, but we still had a responsibility to tell him and to tell the American people the truth. And I'm disappointed that we reached this. I mean, that's not the reason that many of us are on the Intelligence Committee. There's very, very important work that we need to do. But we reached a point where we realized he was so blinded by politics, where he's ruled by emotion and not fact, and we needed to make that point. But, Laura, if I could tell you what I think is the biggest lie that he and others have told, and that is, as the clip said, they have accused the president of treason. They have accused him to aligning himself with a foreign government, not only another foreign government, our adversary for generations. This is a very serious charge, and if they really believed it, they would demand, they would work towards his impeachment. I think the biggest lie here is they don't believe it's true. They know it's not true. They don't want to start with impeachment. Well,
they don't care. Congressman, they don't care what's good for the country. This was about undoing the results of the election. And whether America had to get dragged into this 2.5-year nightmare, didn't matter. And John Solomon, I got to tell you, Nancy Pelosi's out there today. She was throwing up the ballast for Schiff.
Sure. Yeah.
They're just plain afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of competence. I'm so proud of the work of Chairman Adam Schiff. What is the president afraid of? I think they're just scaredy cats.
Oh, that's really high-minded rhetoric there. Scaredy cats. I'm rubber, you're glue. Thanks, Nancy.
Listen, this is spring training. This is going to get a lot hotter before it's all done. And here's the big moment it's going to happen. When that president declassifies all these documents and we see in real time what Adam Schiff was being told behind closed doors, and we can compare with what he said out front in front of the cameras, Adam Schiff's going to be feeling a lot more uncomfortable than he did today. We know multiple briefings occurred that told him no collusion, and he's out there driving that narrative. When those two documents can be compared, those two performances, I think the American public are going to be even more concerned than they are today.
Congressman, what kind of a guy is he? I've only seen him, usually trashing Trump on TV, but I've never met him. So what kind of a person is he?
Well, like most of my colleagues, you don't get elected unless you're intelligent, you're articulate, you're, I think, in some cases embracing. And he is all of those things. He is a very intelligent. He's former prosecutor. He's no fool, I'll tell you that. Which brings me to that point, and that is he's not being fooled by this. He hasn't been deceived. He knows the truth, just like you and I know the truth. The American people know the truth. He just has made a calculated political decision that he doesn't care what's true. He just hates this president so viscerally and is so offended that the American people would choose this president over his friend Hillary Clinton. He's essentially said, the American people are stupid. We're going to overturn their decision, and we're going to do it by destroying this president through lies and accusations that he knows isn't true.
Well, I mean, look, defamation laws don't apply here, but I have to take issue with how smart Schiff is. I mean, Prosecutor, they went to law school, but I know a lot of lawyers aren't that smart. I'm a lawyer. There are a lot of people that you meet just aren't that smart. And remember what happened not so long ago when a prankster called him?
Yeah.
She met with Trump and she brought him 1 hour Russian girl, celebrity Olga Buzova, who also known as a person with a strange reputation.
Olga, and how do you spell her name?
Olga Buzova.
And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
I'm sorry. Olga Buzova. I mean, John, this is one of the funnier moments in a very sad saga.
It was, and it is a sad saga. And the American people are smart enough to know. Listen, 70% of Americans said in a poll today in The Hill, they trust Mueller. They're not going to trust Schiff on this continuation. I think the bigger question is, why keep extending this charade, this mirage? Right. I think they're trying to keep people away from what might really have happened. And that is Hillary Clinton's campaign, Democratic National Committee, was working with a foreign power, Ukraine, to get some of their dirt on Donald Trump. That's what they don't want people to start digging into.
Oh, you're digging into it.
Absolutely.
I've been reading your reporting on that. We look forward to the next report. And by the way, our colleague Andy Napolitano said this about, well, Schiff is kind of right about mentioning some of this conspiracy stuff. Let's watch.
Congressman Schiff is correct. In that report will be evidence of the existence of a conspiracy. Not enough evidence to prove the existence beyond a reasonable doubt. Congressman Schiff wants to dwell on that. If he has other sources, he has to decide when and under what circumstances to reveal those sources.
I don't know why Andy's throwing the lifeline to Schiff there, but real quick, Congressman.
Yeah, I just don't agree. I think Mr. Barr was definitive. He didn't say, and I've made this point again and again, he didn't say he didn't reach a legal threshold, that we found evidence but we couldn't convict on it. He said we saw no evidence of conspiracy. He was very clear on this, and I think it's overly optimistic for those who oppose this president to say once again, well, we didn't find what we wanted, but we'll keep looking and we'll wait till we get the report. Who knows what that's going to say?
All right, guys, we're out of time. John, thank you so much. Congressman, thank you.